Thanks for having us. My name is Ian Cahoon.
I'm Levi Harper.
And my name is Bowen Wright.
And we're HC&W. So our idea was the Evolved Dwelling Unit, or EDU. So when thinking about housing affordability, some of the things that we want to take advantage of obviously how do we make it affordable so people can buy it? How do we make it adaptable, or something that can grow as these families grow, especially important in Utah? And then feasibility. What's something that's possible that can work with city councils, that can work with cities, states, so that this can be something that's implemented all around? So the solution, or the EDU, is a two-phase plan. The first phase is a two-story, 24 by 24 building with, again, the purpose of expansion. How it's built with that purpose of expansion is we stub the utilities to the back of the property. For the phase two, there's a shared wall between phase one and phase two, and we use a pre-poured slab-on-grade construction for both of those phases. So really just getting a lot of the LD, or land development costs, out of the way in that first phase, as well as obviously acquiring the land in that first phase. The second phase is an addition to that first phase. It's a two-story home, slightly bigger than the first, but built to be a longer-term home. We see that first phase as, one bedroom, small family home, and as that family grows, they can grow into that second phase. All of a sudden, that phase one becomes all ready to become an additional dwelling unit. We're able to rent out that phase one with separate access that immediately meets state standards. Then phase one, the income as you rent out that phase one can supplement the construction of and the cost of that second phase.
Awesome. So like how Ian had mentioned, here's some elevations showing our conceptual phase one. What we were focused on here is trying to find a product that we would be interested in living in ourselves. And so what we think is that we found it here. With the living space above the garage, we minimize the footprint used so that we can reduce our costs, as well as having the exterior stairs. That helps with adaptability due to the fact that you're living in this phase one, and then when you go to do the phase two, you already have ADU entrance for the ADU or for the mother-in-law suite for multi-generational living. Here's the floor plan. Again, just really trying to maximize square footage. We've got one bedroom, one bath. For somebody like us that's in school, maybe we don't have kids yet, this is a great way that we could get into a home, be able to afford it, be able to live here, and then when the time comes, be able to expand. The goal here is that you don't grow out of your home, but you're able to grow with it, and then that the future ADU/mother-in-law suite that you're living in can then be able to help pay those mortgage payments on your phase two home. So here's what the site plan would look like for the phase one. Again, it's a small, simple space. You're using the garage, you're living above it. You've got a normal parking lot with some exterior stairs, but you can see that there's space on the back of the home for the phase two development. And then here's the site plan for phase two. So at this point, you would have a front door, your own front door, like a normal house. You'd be able to use the garage on phase two, and you'd go through it into your phase two home. And then that place where you were living above the garage is now just an additional dwelling unit that you can use. They have their exterior stairs. They have their own ADU parking lot. It's separately metered. You have a shared wall to reduce costs. And it is something that we think is really feasible and would be able to help you afford your phase two dream home, because that's truly the American dream, is to be able to live in a home, and we think this is a way that you can achieve it.
So a little about our pricing and cost projections. We project both of these phases to cost around $300,000 for both of these phases, including the land. And we project to sell these around $380,000, which is very affordable compared to the average Utah home. Another thing that makes these units extremely affordable is we can take advantage of Utah's first-time homebuyer assistance program, which gives a $20,000 loan with a 0% interest, and it does not have a payback period. And if these first-time homebuyers were to use this loan with the EDU, it would cover their entire 5% down payment. I mean, it would make it an extremely affordable place to live. Their household income can be less than $100,000 for someone to purchase the base home unit, the phase one. And then the EDU, we project those to rent at about $1,800 a month. Obviously, that can vary by the location. But the goal of that is to be able to supplement the construction and the costs of the phase two. So you can have that additional income as you're paying off for the phase two. We also have some numbers here kind of showing if that phase one is paid off, and if it's not, kind of showing how affordable these units can be with the additional ADU, the phase one. So as Ian touched on at the beginning, we feel like the EDU has really been able to target these three areas. The median home in Utah is about $500,000. And so the base home units are about 25% more affordable than anything out than the average home out on the market. They're extremely adaptable. They can grow with the family. They have a lot of flexibility. They can use the base home ADU space. If they want to keep it, great. If they want to start renting it out, it's totally up to them. But we just wanted to give as much flexibility as possible. And then feasibility, we wanted to create a unit that would reduce pushback for ADUs. By building it first, you have a lot of reduced pushback from the city and from the community for building these units. And so we really think that EDUs are able to kind of tackle all these three problems that we're seeing here in the state and with the affordability problems that we're having. So yes, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Okay, great. And then last up, we have the winner in the finance category, which is Alcoved. This was a team made up of students from Harvard, MIT, and RISD, and we have Sharon here today to give their presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited and honored to be with you here today. I'm excited to share with you Alcoved, which is an innovative initiative that was inspired during my days at Harvard and MIT that could address an issue that we all care deeply about today, housing affordability. Now, I don't need to tell a room full of attendees at the Affordable Housing Summit that we have an affordability issue. Home prices have more than doubled in the past decade. Income has not matched up. And on top of all that, what's really worsened the situation is the fact that our mortgage rate is at 7.6%, more than double what they were 18 months ago. So meet Joe and Alice. Joe is a teacher in Seattle. Alice is a nurse in Seattle. They've been renting for a few years. They have good credit score. They have enough money for the down payment of a house. Together, they have a combined income of $120,000, which happens to be the median household income in Seattle. Now, they have their eyes on a $700,000 house, which, by the way, is less than the median value of home values in Seattle, which is $800,000. However, at today's interest rates, the income required today is closer to $155,000. Now, what if we had a way to bridge this income gap? So that's where Alcoved comes in. Some of you may have heard of ADUs, accessory dwelling units. They're now legalized in several states in the US, and they're essentially tiny homes that can be attached to single-family home lots, either detached or attached. This is a great example in Seattle. It's 2 stories, it's about 1,000 square feet. And most importantly, ADUs generate rental income for the homeowners. So going back to Joe and Alice, if they owned this house and the house had an ADU in the backyard, their combined household income with the rental income now qualifies for a conventional loan. So, calling on my 6 years of experience in real estate finance, my solution is naturally a financial one. What if we were to create a bridge loan that would bridge this income gap for Joe and Alice? There are two components to this. The first is a purchase assist mortgage, which would help them buy the house even though their income is not yet met. And then secondly, we would simultaneously extend to them a pre-approved ADU construction loan that would finance 100% of the cost of the ADU build costs. So how would this work for Joe and Alice? First, Alcoved would lend a mortgage so that Joe and Alice can buy a house even though their income is not yet met. Then Alcoved would work with a partner builder to get the permit and install the ADU for them. And then once their ADU is completed, we'll work with Joe and Alice to lease their ADU out to a tenant that they like. And finally, after 12 months of lease payments and the lease agreement in place, they now qualify for a conventional loan, say from Wells Fargo or Bank of America, that can be then used to refinance us Alcoved out. The math works here because there's real value creation in building this ADU. The yield on cost of ADUs in Seattle is about 13 to 14%, whereas the cap rate on single-family homes is closer to 4 to 5%. And so by building ADUs, we're creating value, and essentially just splitting this value between our investors, which is institutional capital, and our home buyers. So we want to be a platform that connects multiple stakeholders here. So first, we're going to connect institutional capital, so real estate, private equity, or private debt funds, who would provide the capital necessary to our home buyers in the form of mortgages. So we importantly have to make sure that our institutional capital providers have this opportunity that's to invest in the strong risk-adjusted investment opportunity. And for our home buyers, we're helping them enable home ownership, and they also make money, which we will see in a second here. We're also a platform that connects builders and manufacturers so that they can help build these great quality, affordable ADUs. And we're a platform that helps tenants find these ADUs that are professionally managed and built to a great standard. Now, we believe that this is currently the most affordable way to deliver an additional unit of housing in our cities. Why is that? There are three reasons for this. First of all, by splitting and sharing a plot of land into 2, 3, or 4, depending on jurisdiction, you're essentially reducing the cost of land by 30 to 50% on a per unit basis. Secondly, the compact nature of ADUs lends itself well to prefabrication. I was first introduced to the world of prefabrication when I was hired as director of real estate for Juno, which builds multifamily apartments using the kit of parts approach, prefab technique. Last summer, I also had the opportunity to work with Suffolk Construction to do a deep dive on prefab techniques. And it's through these experiences that I learned about the many benefits of prefabrication, time and cost savings, as well as some of the trade-offs and challenges inherent in prefab. And I mentioned this already, but prefab allows for time savings, and time is money, especially in today's high interest rate environment. We estimate with prefabrication, we can save about 6 months of construction time. Now, I would like to target the greater Seattle market for 3 reasons. A, they're extremely ADU friendly. In fact, there are more ADUs built in Seattle today than there are single family homes. Secondly, it's a city that is faced with a middle income housing crisis, much like several other cities actually. And thirdly, there's an existing network of housing factories in nearby Oregon, which would help reduce our delivery costs. So for this to work, I need to make sure that I deliver strong risk-adjusted returns for our investors. So we think that from an investor's perspective, they can earn 15% annual returns over the 2 years, which is a 1.3x times multiple on an investment that is collateralized and has a first lien position. This is much stronger than what the US mortgage REIT market has returned over the past 35 years, around 4%. And we also wanted to make sure that this makes sense for Alice and Joe as well. We wanted to make sure that this is a strong alternative to renting. And so for them, over the course of 2 years, after accounting for closing costs, fees you got to pay your broker, interest on the mortgage, accounting for how much home equity they would own after the 2 years after the refinance, we estimate they can make about 14% per year, which is a 1.25x multiple. Obviously, these numbers can move around. We've assumed for now that over the 2 years, home prices stay constant. If it goes up, these figures go up. If it goes down, these figures go down. And finally, this opportunity is large and scalable. So in the Seattle markets alone, the financing opportunity is $284 billion. And this is scalable because we're using funding from an established and large and deep pool of real estate capital, so real estate private equity and private debt fund, which is estimated at $1.2 trillion in North America today. And so to summarize, Alcoved is an innovative financial solution that leverages prefab techniques, that takes advantage of our really awesome ADU new regulations to enable homeownership for middle-income households in our cities and to build more missing middle housing. And so if any of above sounds interesting to you, please connect with me. If you're a modular or manufactured housing player interested in maybe diversifying your product line, or you're a builder interested in maybe helping us out on our first Seattle project, or you're a lender with thoughts on whether this could work, please speak to me. Or if you have friends who want to buy a house in Seattle, but it's just out of reach and they're interested in perhaps being our pilot customers, we'd really love to speak to them. This is my contact info. That's my email. Feel free to join our email listserv or add me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much to Sharon and to all of our Hack House teams for presenting. That was amazing. We really appreciate it. Hack House is just a fun way to get everyone involved, and we love when someone works hard enough to make their company a reality. We have a former company that's up and going from about 4 years ago called Kit Switch in the Bay Area, trying to build almost like a modular kitchen bathroom unit for office space conversion. And that's been really fun to see get off the ground. So if you guys have any students, this is also a plug. If you work at a university, if you have students that are interested or maybe would be interested, this is something we run every year, and we'd love to partner with you or have students participate in Hack House. So that being said, thanks to all the Hack House presenters. And now we have a panel coming up next that's called Industrialized Constructions, Lessons Learned from California. And Tyler Pullen will be moderating from thanks, Tyler, from the Turner Center for Housing Innovation at Berkeley. So let's go. Thanks, guys.